What's going on, guys? Welcome back to United View. Hope everyone is doing very well. Welcome back to the final press conference, pre-match anyway, of the season. Yes, the FA Cup final presser. For the final time this season at Carrington, Erik ten Hag has spoken to the assembled media in the Jimmy Murphy Centre. Yes, ahead of Saturday's Cup final, the Manchester derby at the capital of the country at Wembley Stadium, the rematch from last year. And my oh my, is there a lot going into this game. There's rumours, speculation, apprehension, excitement, team news, injuries, doubts, all of the above, and we're going to try and cover at least a large chunk of it here today in this pre-match press conference. How is everybody doing? Hope you're doing good. Finally, I'm a little bit early because I thought, let's just go. Let's not waste any time getting into Erik ten Hag's quotes, his responses, the questions, all that good stuff that you come for the press conferences. And just a bit, I suppose, a bit of an overall thing. Many people were wondering what we would hear and see from Erik ten Hag today. The body language experts, I suppose, are and will be still firmly out. Going, is there any hints? Is there going to be? Did you see a defeated man? Did you see a man there that looked like he was or wasn't going to be here next season? And the answer is you're not going to see anything, really, when it comes to that. I certainly would hope not. I don't want to see a defeated man in the pre-match press conference. It's not good seeing a defeated man or a defeated manager going into an FA Cup final, is it? I want to see a man full of conviction. I want to see a man full of fight. I want to see a man full of confidence. And I thought we saw just Erik ten Hag. I don't think we saw anything less or more than we see usually in press conferences. He was asked a little bit about his future. He was asked a little bit about his time at Manchester United. And as you would expect, he answered them, again, as you would kind of expect, really, kind of swatted them off. Not too much drama, I think, involved in that. Some interesting team news and updates when it pertains to Harry Maguire missing out. The rest of the players that were referenced seemingly will make it. So Manchester United are going to have somewhat of a strong squad for Saturday's FA Cup final. He was asked about Marcus Rashford, talking about the week that he's had in the season that he's had too, of course, the week being that he did not make the England squad for the European Championships, and that comes off the back of a really poor season for him as well. So there's plenty to get into. So if you haven't already, click the like button. Be sure to subscribe as well whilst you're at it. Also, if you're already here or if you're watching after the fact, you can do this too. Go and follow United View on Playback. Earlier on today, Flex did a bit of EAFC, a solo stream, Fleck versus the world on Playback, that lots of people were getting involved with, a lot of people were enjoying, and that's more of that to come. We've been doing quite a lot of stuff on Playback recently, extra shows, kind of post shows really. They're like post shows. It's like the full view post show, full view extra, the Flex and KG post show, Flex and KG extra. I've just been doing lots of like quizzes and stuff on that recently, and done a couple of match views. We're going to be doing a lot more match views with that in the summer with the Euros coming up. Flex going to be playing FIFA on there, so if you haven't already, go give us a follow there. The community is rapidly expanding and growing. And if you're worried, well, does that mean anything's going off YouTube? Absolutely not. Everything that's already here is staying here, plus other stuff to come in the future too. So how's everybody doing? Let me check in the chat, then we'll get to all of the quotes. I can see Austin there. And now I'm back. I tell you what, it's done that a couple of times recently, hasn't it? I don't know what that is. That's just me getting involved in the chat with everyone. There's just me, getting the pleasantries out the way, and then suddenly that happens. What a disgrace. It only ever happens for 15 seconds or something. Very, very strange. And all of the internet works too. Very odd. I mean, that seems quite ominous for the weekend ahead, doesn't it? That feels to be quite ominous. Oh dear. Well, that might not be quite good, but we're back. Anyway, it's all good. Akash says, blame the gremlins. Do you know what it is? It's the software. It is. You know what it is sometimes? They always say, don't they? Never update straight away. Never update straight away. Always wait for a little bit. Because if you update straight away, sometimes you get gremlins, don't you? You do. And that's always to probably get bugs. Anyway, it's been 5 minutes. We've had a disconnect and no quotes thus far. So let's get straight into it. Let's start off with Erik ten Hag being asked about this big match, of course, coming up Saturday. He was asked by Simon Peach, it's been a bumpy season for everyone. Are you looking to end the season on a high? And Erik ten Hag said the following. He said, quote, "It's all about trophies, but you need an opportunity to win a trophy. So the last 10 years, not so many trophies in this club, but we have an opportunity to win 2 trophies in 2 years." So, of course, it's a big opportunity for United. And it kind of circles back to, doesn't it, the whole discussion in the first place about reaching the FA Cup final, doesn't it? The manner of which we got there, but also the accomplishment of getting there, if that makes sense. I mean, the first part is obviously how we got there was incredibly embarrassing. 3-0 up against Coventry, they get it back to 3-3, they make it 4-3, goal ruled out, it goes to penalties, we win on pens. But the point Erik ten Hag was making at the time was an accurate one. Of course, it's a massive accomplishment getting to an FA Cup final, particularly back-to-back FA Cup finals. I mean, gosh, can someone actually let me know in the chat the Google, the online sleuths or people Googling this or what have you, when was the last time that an FA Cup final was the same, year up, the previous year into the next year? How long ago was that? Is there an obvious one that I'm missing? I mean, because it can't happen that often, can it? Akash says 1899. Is that accurate? Is that accurate? Because you would just think the odds of it alone would be quite difficult just by the nature of the draw, wouldn't it? That would be, just by the nature of the draw, that would be quite challenging, no? So that in itself, look, it's still an accomplishment. It's still an achievement. But pressure's on. And what we don't want, certainly, we want redemption. Last year, we couldn't get it done. This year, let's hope that we can. We're going into it this year in far worse form, in a far worse place, but hopefully we can end the season on a bit of a high, certainly. Now, team news, this was a big bit of information coming out of the press conference today, was regarding Harry Maguire. So Ten Hag was asked about team news, the names that are available, what's the latest on the likes of Mason Mount, Victor Lindelof, Anthony Martial, etc. And Erik ten Hag confirmed, yes, Harry Maguire is unavailable, but for the rest of all the players you mentioned, they are available. Tomorrow we'll have final training and make final decisions, but the way I see it, it looks good regarding Mount, Lindelof, Martial and others. Now, when it comes to Harry Maguire, as to the reason why he's out, Ten Hag was asked, and it said Maguire, it didn't heal as expected. So that was the situation with Harry Maguire. As far as part of it, it was 1884 and 1885 with QPR and Blackburn Rovers. Look at that. Historic. With the Maguire thing, obviously, look, you want more players to be available. It's not a massive blow, is it? Because I don't think if he was fit, he was going to play. The starting defensive partnership will be Rafael Varane and it'll be Lisandro Martinez. The other defenders seemingly are going to be available. That's Victor Lindelof and that's Johnny Evans. So it's not a massive blow. I would think with him, in all honesty, he probably does fall into that camp that someone like OWEN really was mentioning recently. Not in the sense of, oh, he's faking his injury or anything like that, but more so of, I mean, there's no need for him to be back, is there? He's not going to play, and he's just going to be thinking about getting into the England squad, isn't he? Because we know, we have seen it. If every centre-back is fit, Harry Maguire is, what, 4th choice, maybe? And we've got the majority of the centre-backs back fit now for the final game on Saturday. So it's not too much of a blow. It's not too much of a loss. No disrespect to Harry Maguire because he's actually had quite a decent season. But I still do think if an offer came in the summer, my goodness me, I'd take it. Whether or not he'd leave, don't know. There's going to be quite a few centre-backs leaving, isn't there? Varane, possibly Lindelof. We'll see what happens with Johnny Evans and his future. So we'll see with Maguire. But certainly it's not a massive blow by any stretch of the imagination because the centre-back partnership will be Martinez and it'll be Varane. And I find it quite funny, actually, with the Luke Shaw thing of him being included in the England squad. And this kind of just sums up Gareth Southgate for me. Gareth Southgate selects Luke Shaw in the England squad. And then in the press conference, mere minutes later, says that he thinks it's very unlikely he's going to even be in the European Championship squad. But he's given him the benefit of the doubt because he's sort of the first choice for that position. But it looks unlikely that even Shaw's going to make it for the Euros. So, yeah, park that to one side. Park that to one side with the Luke Shaw stuff. But as far as those other players being available, look, we need, and Ten Hag did bring this up later on in the press conference, and it's a good point, and you'll see it tomorrow on the preview that comes out with Flex, KG, and myself, that a lot of the time we focus, don't we, on the starting 11. A lot of the time we focus on the team that starts the game, and not so often on the bench. And an FA Cup final, you need options. You need options. You don't know how long it's going to go on for. You don't know the nature that the game is going to take. You might be defending a lead. You might be chasing a lead. You might be trying to get a late goal to make it 1-1 and take it to extra time or something like that. So you need options. So infrequently this season have we turned or looked to the bench going, it doesn't matter. I mean, proper the Rock settings. It doesn't matter because we've got nothing on the bench at all. Now, obviously, there's an argument to be made about how good some of the players are, these senior players that are available off the bench, but they're better to have available than not have available. So those players there that were mentioned, Mason Mount, Victor Lindelof, Anthony Martial, none of them are going to be starting, are they? Clearly, they're all going to be on the bench, but they're good options to have. When it comes in, Anthony Martial, look, I'd love it if he came on and got a goal or a winning goal. And hey, you can't put that past him. That's what he's been doing the last 3 years, because he hasn't played a full game of football in 3 years. He's last season anyway, he had one of the best records for minutes per goal, because he barely got any minutes and he still somehow managed to get goals. So if we're chasing a game or something, if we need a goal, why not put him on Saturday, see what happens. And for the sake of, to be honest, his career, a big moment could benefit him massively for wherever he goes next, because he's not going to be sticking around at Manchester United. It's going to be his last game as a Manchester United player, and he needs to put himself in the shop window, doesn't he? So there'll be all names that are on the bench, but given our record with injuries this season, and like I said, we don't know how the game's going to play out. Who's to say we don't have reoccurrences of some injuries? Some of these players that are coming back, they haven't been back for very long. So in the event that they do go down, we're going to need alternatives. We're going to need other options. And that will be important. So obviously it's positive that those names are back. Obviously with Maguire, like I said, you sort of think ahead, if you're an England fan, to what that's going to look like for the Euros. He'll be in that squad. I've got no doubts about it. I mean, I know he's already in the squad, but I mean, he'll make the full squad. No doubts about it. And that is where, and we'll get into Rashford very shortly, but that is where the Gareth Southgate stuff about favourites and whatever, there's a massive double standard in that squad. Absolutely. But Maguire's his favourite. So Maguire's going to be going. And he might look at it going, I think it was in Euro 2021? Going into that tournament, Maguire, I think, had an injury going into that. And, because that was Ollie's last season, wasn't it? Yeah, it was Ollie's last season when we got Europa League. And there was concern about, when we were in the Europa League final, rather. And he didn't play that. Oh, isn't he going to be available? When he played the whole tournament, didn't he? So I have no doubts he'll be in that. For us, at the weekend, it's no big miss because our starting centre-backs are back anyway. Our starting 3 centre-backs, really, in Varane, Martinez and Lindelof. Kenny Fan TV with the members chat says, we are winning this. Let me get this up on the screen. It says, we are winning this Saturday, Owen. We need this trophy just to give the squad and the manager some morale boost for the summer. I think it'd be much more important than just morale boost, Kenny Fan TV. Appreciate 40 months of support. And again, I don't want to tread too much. I don't want to tread too much on the preview stuff, because that's going to be coming out tomorrow, and KG's kind of along that part of it. But this is far bigger than morale or anything like that. I mean, there's so many different aspects that are massive. Obviously, there's the trophy aspect of it. There's European football on the line for Man United next season. There's also Erik ten Hag, and his job is, for me anyway, I believe it to be, considering all of the reporting that's coming out, I think his job's on the line. I really do. Not necessarily because of the result. I think what Fabrizio Romano has said about this is pretty close to the detail, when he's saying that it's not necessarily the result or the outcome, It's the performance, it's the attitude, it's the overall feeling coming out of it. That's going to play massively into where Ineos decide to go. And I think that, Erik ten Hag will know that. And obviously, look, in this press conference, he's not going to show his hand or anything like that. He's not going to look like he's concerned or worried for his job or what have you. But there's a lot. There is absolutely a lot on the line Saturday. It is a massive game for a variety of reasons, no doubt about it. And everyone has got to be on it. And I don't just mean certain players. I mean the whole team. I mean substitutes. I mean the manager. I mean the coaching staff. Everyone's got to get it right. And then we've got to ride our luck a little bit and hope some things go in our favour. That's the nature of a cup final, isn't it? And hopefully that can be the case. We got nearly 600 people watching. How many likes are we currently at the moment? Let's take a look here. We're at 166 likes. So if you haven't already, click the like button and be sure to subscribe as well whilst you're at it. The poll is in the chat. It says, have you hit the like button? Yes, or doing it now. So yes, if you haven't already, click that like button. Marcus Rashford was the subject of the next question to the Manchester United manager, Erik ten Hag. It was from Simon Stone. Said, Eric, Eric, can you talk to us about Marcus Rashford? It's been difficult for me to get a sentence out. It's a difficult season for Marcus. Left out of the England squad. How fit is he? How is he feeling? How is he feeling right now? And Ten Hag said it's very difficult to get out of that. That's why I'm sometimes reluctant to do the Simon Stone, because once you dip in, that's very difficult to stop talking like that. Ten Hag says he looks good. That is a career, ups and downs. A down can also give fuel, and that is what I see in training. He'll be highly motivated, speak with your feet, highly intelligent. He's had a big career. I'm sure he will get over this and get more goals. So obviously, this is what you would expect from Erik ten Hag before an FA Cup final. He's not going to come out and cuss him out, throw him under the bus. Rashford's been rubbish this season. He's not in my plans or anything like that. No, he was never, ever, ever going to say that. I think it's interesting once again, I was curious to see if anyone brought up the fitness thing or anything like that. But that's not the case, which is good. Rocky says, media obsessed with Rashford, nobody's talking about Sterling. It would be quite bizarre if Raheem Sterling was brought up in this press conference. I'm not going to lie to you, Rocky. What do you think about Raheem Sterling as well, Eric? Well, but for me, I said it last Friday on the Trinity. I stand by it today. I think that Marcus Rashford should not start in the FA Cup final. I think it should be Garnacho. I think it should be Ahmed. Who plays up front, I think is quite interesting, to be honest with you, because I don't think Rasmus Højlund's a certainty, which will surprise you because, of course, he scored 2 goals coming off the bench. But I think that might just work against him in the sense of sometimes with a cup final, the options off the bench are just as important as the people that are starting the game. So, but again, we'll get into that in the preview more tomorrow. I think, again, Ahmed should start, Garnacho should start. Previously, I lent more to, but I think he'll revert back to type. I think he'll go with what he's done before, which is when push comes to shove, he'll start Marcus Rashford. Rashford's a big player on big wages and got a big spotlight on him. Media talk about him, etc., etc., etc. But I've kind of changed my tune on this one a little bit. It was the game against Brighton at the Amex really kind of made me think, oh, hey, wait a minute here. Something might be a little bit different, because I thought Rashford would get more minutes. I thought Rashford would get more minutes than, I think he came on in the 75th minute at the Amex. I thought he'd get more than 15. And then you look at, well, Ahmed's actually started 3 games in a row there against some pretty good teams. Arsenal, Newcastle, Brighton. 2 of those results have been wins, and 3 of those performances, considering some of our other performances this season, and particularly recently, weren't actually that terrible, weren't that bad. Change of shape as well. Rashford hasn't really played in this new shape. So I think that I think it's more likely that Ahmed starts now. And I think, once again, if you circle that back to Marcus Rashford and say, man, 26 years old, don't go with your country to an international tournament, don't start in an FA Cup final wow, what a reality check, what a wake-up call that is and should be for him. Obviously, in this question, Erik ten Hag is going to talk positively about his player. No shock, no surprise about that. But I really do think, he's going to go with Garnacho and Ahmed. And I think that's the right call to go with as well. I think Saturday's a time for bravery when it comes to Erik ten Hag. One of the criticisms about him this season, I think justifiably so, has been stubbornness. It was something that was brought up from the Week Up Talk Ajax guys when Ten Hag first came, or was first announced that he was going to become the Man United manager. Stubbornness. And he has been stubborn at points this season because of the mitigating circumstances, which I don't ignore. I don't think you can, with injuries and what have you. He's still been insistent of, this is my ideal way of playing 3-1-6, whatever it's called. That's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do. And then you saw after the Crystal Palace game, we get absolutely trounced. We have like one fit centre back, but we get absolutely trounced. And then we're about to play the second best team in the league in Arsenal, and Erik ten Hag goes, can't do that. We cannot do that against Arsenal. We will get ripped apart. Can't play like that. Let's do something different. A bit more compact, and then against Newcastle changes the shape as well. And I just think with Ten Hag, as stubborn as he can be, when he stumbles on something that works or is working, then he doesn't like to change it, I don't think. And I don't think he'll change it for Saturday. That's my prediction. I don't think he'll change the shape, and I don't think he'll change that much the starting lineup. So I think when it pertains to Rashford, that means he starts on the bench. And you talk about options off the bench. Maybe that can be the making of him. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with Marcus Rashford. Could be totally wrong. Look, it's prediction. That is what it is. But yeah, let's see. Certainly. What are people saying here in the chat at the moment? Rocky says, maybe we should play Amrabat and Casemiro midfield. Meno is a 10, Bruno on the right. We need to solidify that midfield in the first half. Well, that's why I think there's a good chance McTominay starts on Saturday too. And this is why I'm saying I think Højlund might be a bit of a casualty to start, because I think what he might view it as, well, if I do that 4-4-2, 4-2-2, whatever you want to call it, again, McTominay, if he plays him as a striker or a false 9, false 10, whatever, he can keep dropping back, and next thing you know, you've got an extra body in midfield. I really could see him doing that, and I'm leaning more towards that's what he'll do. Again, could be wrong, but I do think the last 3 games have been quite telling, to be honest with you. Alex says Rashford and Garnacho will start. It is entirely possible. Skilliana says, I agree that you don't change a winning formula. The problem is we haven't had, I guess, a winning formula most of the season, and Erik ten Hag wouldn't change it. Mr. K says if McTominay starts, we are losing 4-5-0. Well, he started the last 2, hasn't he? And we've won those games, in fairness. Yes. Ninth Earth says these so-called fans won't support Rashford if he starts on Saturday. Well, look, if he starts, of course you'd hope that he does well. I don't agree with, like I said, the clashes that we saw when he was warming up at Old Trafford against Newcastle. Not at all. Not at all. But I think if you're going to pick this team based off form and recent ability, and also the sort of shape that we've seen in the last few games, I think Rashford doesn't make it. But that's my theory anyway. Could be totally wrong, have been in the past. Next question was about the importance of this match. And Erik ten Hag, when asked about how important the game was for him, he said, every game I want to win, and that's it. I just focus on this game as I do for every game. I know it's an important game. It's about a trophy. So the game is certainly important. This was an interesting one too, about salvaging the season. This was a really interesting question. Basically saying that if we win the FA Cup on Saturday, would that salvage what has been a very poor season for Manchester United? And Erik ten Hag said, no, but it's an FA Cup final, is a big event, and we are there. Even in the season is not in our way, we are there. We have an opportunity, and it's never been easy, but we have to go for it, and we will go for it. We have to believe, as we did last season, as we have done often against good opponents. We play our best football, and I expect that again on Saturday. And I do agree with that. The suggestion that, because this has been a big topic of conversation, hasn't it, with a lot of United fans recently, and particularly when you factor in the reports about Ineos, making a decision after the final, and are they going to judge him on this final? And we'll kind of talk about that in just a second. But I don't think it can. I don't think it can, and I don't think it should paper over what has been a bad season. Obviously, if we win the FA Cup, if your initial reaction is, it doesn't matter, we've been rubbish this season, I would say, take a chill pill, enjoy the moment. Because if we do, we are massive underdogs, and we have had a poor season, so absolutely enjoy it. If you're then going to look at the bigger picture, then you can absolutely dissect, and say, but still, an FA Cup final, it is a one-off game. I mean, it's kind of it's the thing that's almost going for us in this FA Cup final, isn't it? Is also the reason why you can't get too carried away. What's going for us in this game is that it's a final. It's a one-off game. Form, as they say, it's a cliche, but it's true. Form goes out the window. That's what is going for us. If this was a game that was dependent on form and dependent on our performances across a 38-game Premier League season, of course we would lose. But it's a one-off game. It's a final. Anything can happen. But it's also the reason you can't get too carried away, isn't it? If something really good does happen at the weekend, which is, it's just that. It's a one-off game. You look at the Manchester United women's team, for instance. They won the Women's FA Cup for the first time in their history. The next game they played was at Old Trafford against Chelsea women's team. They lost 6-0. So it's you have to be careful with it all. But look, of course, if we were to win it, be absolutely euphoric. It would be 2 trophies in 2 years. It'd be absolutely something that Erik ten Hag can hold on to. It'd be absolutely something that Erik ten Hag could point to Ineos and go, see, look, even in our worst season, we're still winning stuff. Not bad going. So it'd be absolutely something that would go in his favour. No doubt about it. No doubt about that at all. But it doesn't mask what has been a very poor season for Manchester United. It cannot. It cannot mask what has been a very poor season with lots of problems that we could spend the next hour and a half listing. So it's a double-edged sword, and I do think that is a really good answer by Erik ten Hag there, basically saying that no, it doesn't salvage a poor season, but it's also a trophy. It's also a final, and it's almost like you can't go in to it with the mindset of, we have to win. This will salvage our season, because it doesn't do that. The mindset having to go into it is we have to win because we're Manchester United, because this is because we need to prove ourselves, because we're playing for our futures. Everyone, players, coaching staff, managers, you name it, they're all playing for their futures. It's bigger than just this season, isn't it? It's bigger than just the day, the trophy. It's about the future. It's about are they going to be here in the future? That's what it's all about. And it's about, like I said, getting some revenge from last year. It's about proving themselves that they belong at that level, because so often this season we've seen players and a lot of people associated with the club that have clearly showed that they're not built or they're not right to be at that level. So yeah, it doesn't paper over the cracks, it doesn't salvage the season, but it's also it's almost bigger. I think is the right answer. It's almost bigger than that. We've got over 700 people watching, which is fantastic. We're currently at 244 likes. If you haven't already, click the like button. Be sure to subscribe as well whilst you're at it. How many subscribers are we currently at? We're on the road to 200k. Next stop, I suppose, is 170k. So if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. There's a lot coming up in the future, United View, namely, of course, the match view on Saturday with KG and myself are going to be there guiding you through. Of course, Flex is going to be at Wembley tomorrow. Just for example, there's the morning show, there's the Trinity. There's a preview tomorrow and the Trinity. Later on today, we still got What the Devil. That's going to be coming out too. So if you haven't already, now's the time to subscribe. Click that notification bell. You'll be notified when we go live. I think I'm caught up with the super chats and member chats. Indeed, I am. So we spoke about salvaging the season. A couple of other interesting questions here. The first was about transfers, saying he was asked if he and Manchester United have been thinking about transfers, and he said, yes, of course. Yes, of course, but my focus is until Saturday. I only think about this game, which, again, is the right answer, isn't it? You've been thinking about transfers? Well, yeah, you always think about transfers, but you're not really here to talk about that. You're here to talk about the FA Cup final. That's the most important thing here. We shouldn't be thinking too far ahead. There are people. That's why you bring those people in. That's their job, is to think that far ahead. The coach is there for coaching. Big up one, KG the comedian. He is in the chat. I spoke to him on the phone before I went live. Little known fact, this is KG's favourite show. It's KG's favourite show. He's always locked in for the presser. On the rare occasion that the presser doesn't happen, which is most of the time for logistical reasons or like scheduling reasons, he'll call me. The last time that happened, we couldn't do it because I think there was a preview coming out. So it was like a press conference preview show, which KG was on. And KG called me, and he was upset. He was legitimately upset. He was like, what am I going to do? And I went, what are you talking about? He went, there's no press conference show. I live for the press conference show. This is the show. This is the show where he gets his information from. When it comes to, the manager and all that and the quotes, this is his show. This is his favorite show. And he was saying that to me on the phone earlier on. So big up KG in the chat. As always, he's always locked in. He's always locked in. Mr. That comedian is always locked in when it comes to their pressers. And this was the next up was a question about, as you would expect. I was surprised it came this late in the press conference, to be honest with you, but about the rumours surrounding Erik ten Hag, and if this will be his last game as the Manchester United manager on Saturday at Wembley. And as you would expect, he said, yes, it is going to be. I announced my resignation. No, he did not say that. He said something far less dramatic. He said, I have nothing to say. Just focusing on the job I have to do, and that is first win the game on Saturday, then the project, keep going with the project. So it's one of those ones, isn't it? And this is what I always say. We've done, how many of these have we done at this point? Together, you and I, here on United View, when it comes to press conferences and what have you. And it's always, this is what I always say about this kind of stuff, is you have to take everything or understand the game that's being played. You have to understand the game that's played in these press conferences. This is a question that the media have to ask, and that's the response that the manager has to give. He's never going to say, oh yeah, I've got big doubts about that. No, I mean, business as usual. It's been business as usual all season. It is for any manager. I mean, unless they've got a definitive end point, they carry on, don't they? They continue every single day working until they're told otherwise. That's the same with Erik ten Hag. That's why he's been involved in all of the planning for pre-season. That's why he's been involved in transfer stuff. That's why he has regular meetings with Jason Wilcox, and prior to that, John Murtough and what have you. Because as of right now, he's not been told any different. So why would he think any different? And at the same time, when it comes to all that, what's he supposed to say in there? Yeah, I've got massive concerns about it. And yeah, because he doesn't know any different. Adam K says Poch did. Well, exactly. And then Poch isn't there anymore, is he? Whereas Erik ten Hag, and even Poch, he probably saw the writing on the wall a little bit, because they were like, you have to remember, with the Poch story too, according to the reports anyway, they both went into that end of season review and both mutually went, this ain't working out for both of us. I'm off. And I don't think that's the case of Erik ten Hag. I don't think he looks at it at the moment going, it's not really working out for me here. I'll be out of here. By all accounts, all of the reporting is that he'd want to stay and see out his contract, and I think that's accurate. So, and he's never, with all of the interviews he's done and all of the press conferences he's done, he's never, ever, ever hinted at him wanting out. He's never hinted at the possibility of him not being there next season. He just doesn't do that. He doesn't throw players under the bus. He doesn't throw executives under the bus. He's not one of those managers that clashes publicly anyway. with those above him. And on the occasion that it has happened, there's been friction between him and players. It gets blown up, and we're still talking about it today. So yeah, he's not going to comment or anything like that. The one thing is, what you will say is that all of that ambiguity, it has to end soon, doesn't it? I mean, selfishly for myself, I'm just not sure I can take it anymore. With the division and people going at each other, which maybe this is me just thinking pie in the sky, that hopefully once we get past this season, whether Ten Hag stays or if he goes and someone else comes in, then we'll all be on the same page once again, and we'll all be happy holding hands, and it'll be sunshine and rainbows. But it won't be, because we are far from United. We'll constantly be at each other's throats, because when you take a step back and just think of it from a reality point of view, there are lots of different paths Manchester United could go down here, isn't it? Whether it's Ten Hag stays, that will people will be really pleased by that. People will be pissed off by that. He goes, people will be pleased by that. People will be pissed off with that. Thomas Tuchel comes in, people will be pleased with that. People will be pissed off with that. De Zerbi comes in, people will be pleased with that. People will be pissed off with that. Poch comes in, people will be pleased with that. People will be pissed off with that. Like, it's just gonna. That's what it's gonna be, isn't it? That's what it's gonna be. So, one thing's for certain, though, we have to know, don't we? We have to know. Well, what is the path? What is the path that we go down? What's gonna happen for the future? And I really don't know. Like, I don't know how if he goes, how that's going to be communicated. Statement. He'll go. Someone else comes in. If he stays, I wonder how that will be communicated. We spoke about this the other day, that if he stays, is it communicated by a statement? Is it communicated by himself that he spoke to someone? Oh, I spoke to, Sir Jim this morning and I'm staying. Does nothing happen? And you have to just kind of deduce that that's the case. Oh, well, it's July now. It's the pre-season tour. He's here. So this is where we're going. Like, I don't know. I don't know how that will be communicated, but it's absolutely still one of the options. Massively, it still is. But one thing's for sure is the managerial market has been turned on its head in the space of like a week. It is crazy out there at the moment with managers becoming available. The domino effect's already started with the Poch leaving and all that kind of stuff. It is. And we're not even in transfer season yet. We're not, honestly, we're not even in transfer season right now. And we're still already going like, we don't know what's going to happen. So it is crazy. But this answer, again, it's as you would expect. Chalaboy Comic says, if you're sticking with Erik ten Hag, he will receive a contract extension. If not, he will be sacked. Well, I don't think he'll receive a contract extension. That's the other part of it. I don't think he'll get a contract extension. Which that means if he does stay, there'll be even more ambiguity, won't there? Because he's in the last year of his contract. So yeah, it's but either way, at this point, we just need to know. We just need to know, because one thing's for sure, if we're gonna have a more positive season next year, that future needs to be much clearer than it is right now. It is very murky, isn't it? It's a very murky period at the moment for Manchester United. 7 likes away from 300, now 6. So if you haven't already, click the like button. Be sure to subscribe as well whilst you're at it. We've got over 700 people watching. Thriller says, Owen, why are you so worried about whether he's staying or not? I mean, it looks like they want to be at least courteous and let him focus on the final. If he gets sacked, it'll be after that. Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm not suggesting he's going to get sacked before the final. It would be very surprising if it came out tomorrow that he's gone. And as far as why I'm worried about whether he's staying or not, is because I'm a Manchester United fan. I mean, it's an important position, whether the manager's going to be there or not. Yeah, so that would be why. I mean, that's a massive call, isn't it? About whether you stick with the person that picks and coaches the team is huge. And as far as why I'm worried about that, I mean, because obviously, again, nothing's going to change about it before the final, but the final plays a big part in it. It does. So, yeah. A members chat here from Harry. He's been a member for 14 months, says the worst thing Ineos could do in this situation is keep Erik ten Hag and not give him a new contract. Uncertainty is a recipe for disaster. Which, again, is an interesting one, because I do agree with the uncertainty as a recipe for disaster. We have seen it already. But then what I would say with that is, this is when you get into the territory when you go, well, if you believed Erik ten Hag was the guy, he's the guy for us, he's going to take us into the future, then why wouldn't they have done that already? Why would, if the FA Cup final didn't matter, if the rest of the season didn't matter because he's the right guy, irrespective, regardless, it's Erik, he's the one, we believe in him, then why wouldn't they have done that already? Why wouldn't they have said, like, yeah, forget this season, it's been a write-off, it's been shit. New contract, we're committed to you for the future. Why would they have not done that if the rest of the season playing out was important? Which it does. That's what it feels like, doesn't it? Results do matter, and and look, maybe like I say, maybe that's how they will communicate it afterwards, after the FA Cup final. If he wins, there you go, his new contract, like they did with Mark Skinner for the Man United women's team. I just don't know if they will. I don't know. It's difficult to call. It's very, very difficult to call. But I do agree with you. In the sense of next season, the uncertainty, that is a recipe for disaster. I totally agree with you when it comes to that. But you do have to ask yourself the questions about, well, if they fully believed in him, they would have done something already, and they haven't. And sometimes the silence of all of that can speak pretty loudly too, can't it? Super chat here from Joe Fleming says Joshua Pinho has it right if he's staying. And Harry says, well, they aren't immune to bad decisions. Chris says, who says that they haven't? Well, giving him a new contract, I would have thought that would have come out if that had been the case. And with that sort of delaying it, if he had signed a new contract, why would you not? Why would you do? Oh, we're just not going to announce that to the end of the season. In a time of uncertainty, when the team is struggling, that would be the thing. That's the sign of backing, isn't it? You know. Yeah. Chris says, and contrary to what you believe, you don't run every decision through the media. Well, I agree with you with that, but at the same time, do you know how big of a story that would be if Erik ten Hag had silently spoken on a new, silently agreed a new contract with Manchester United, given everything that's going on at the moment? I think, again, some of the reporting that's come out about him, when they say, look, it's a lot going into the final, it's 50-50, they are looking at other managers. If they make that decision, they haven't made that decision yet. And I think that's probably about right, honestly. It would be, and also as well, even if they had communicated to him, we'll probably, it depends how you look at it, isn't it, as well? Because he might look at it as, well, because he's involved in those conversations about next season, well, that means I'm sticking around. But some people might look at it as, well, again, it's business as usual. John Murtough was involved in a lot of stuff for next season. He's not here anymore because it was business as usual until it wasn't anymore. So I would push back on the idea that like a new contract had been agreed without that getting public. You know, that would be staggering story. It really would. And that's not even about running that decision through the media. That's just that. I mean, Manchester United leaks like a sieve. Now, of course that would come out. You kidding me? We get a story before every single game, let alone something that big. So yes, I don't think there's one being offered just yet. When it comes to the sort of judgment or anything like that, he was asked about. Some people are suggesting that some people are saying that you're going to be judged based on this one game, the FA Cup final. How would you like to be judged, your time at Manchester United? And Erik ten Hag said, I came here to win trophies. Saturday, the next opportunity, we achieved this. We earned this opportunity as a team, and now we have to go for it. And in the same time, in the last 2 years, of course, after every season, you review it, and we will see where we are in the project, things we have to change, things we spoke lately about it, very good things, players coming up, values coming up. And on Saturday, we have a big opportunity to win the next trophy. So, look, as I said, when it comes to Erik ten Hag, And if we do win the FA Cup on Saturday, my goodness me, of course that's a massive tick in his column, and it's be very difficult, not very difficult, but it would certainly be much more difficult for Ineos to decide to part company with him, because he could absolutely say, I came here to win trophies, I got 2 in 2. Not bad going. Again, as we spoke earlier on, and even he said it himself, it doesn't salvage a bad season, because, that's literally his words. It doesn't salvage a bad season, but he came here to win trophies. That would be, 3 finals in 2 years, 2 trophies. Not bad going. That'd be, you kidding me? Yeah, absolutely. That would be something that would be going in his favour. And if that was his last game at United and he won that trophy, he'd be judged on winning 2 trophies in 2 years, and the first season being very good, the second season not being so good. So, it's interesting to him say that, and it's him backing himself, which he should. Of course he should in these press conferences. I came here to win trophies. We're in a final on Saturday. Last year, we were in 2 finals. We won a trophy. We can do it again. That's what he should do. He shouldn't come into these press conferences and, cower or anything like that. He should back himself. He should believe in himself. If he didn't believe in himself, he wouldn't be here in the first place. That's. I think I like the answer. That's what he came here to do. That's what a lot of managers come to Manchester United to do. Win trophies and be successful. And finally, this is a really interesting one too, was about a possible change in approach come Saturday. And it was, you look back on the games we played against Manchester City this season, lost consecutive games, lost at Old Trafford, lost at the Etihad. He was asked, Erik ten Hag, will you have to approach the game differently in order to be competitive? And Ten Hag said, I think we were very competitive until a VAR decision at Old Trafford. A tough decision, I thought. No one understood. We haven't seen this in the rest of the season, a decision in such moment. At the Etihad for 70 minutes, we were very good in the game. We had opportunities to make a second goal. They had a bench. And on Saturday, we will have a bench. He was very strong on that. He said that we'll have a much stronger side and we'll also have a bench, which I do agree with. Having that bench in a final is really important. When it comes to, if you want to break that answer down, the first part when he's talking about that with the game at Old Trafford, I agree with him in the sense of that VAR decision at Old Trafford is bullshit. How long have we got left? Because we could, again, talk for several hours about VAR decisions this season that you see in big games, important games, and then you never see again. How often? That was the point at the time, wasn't it? That was the point at the time with that Højlund one on Rodri, wasn't it? With that, there's contact on his arm and all that, and there's grabbing in the box. You see grabbing in the box every game. You see grabbing in the box every game. So I still don't understand that one. That, once again, goes back to the problems of VAR, lack of consistency. It's not the technology's problem, it's the people problem. The people running it are terrible. But at the same time, when it came to the rest of that game at Old Trafford, particularly in the second half, we were miles off them. Absolutely miles off them in the second half at Old Trafford. At the Etihad, look, Rashford scored a fantastic goal, and Ten Hag is right to an extent of we had opportunities, maybe that we didn't sort of test the keeper enough, but we had opportunities to create a goal-scoring moment at the Etihad, which we didn't do. And then as the game went on, we just got completely ground down by a far superior team. Absolutely far superior team. But this is why, when he's talking about, when the question that was asked about a change of approach, he didn't really answer this, and I'm glad he didn't, because we already have seen there's a change of approach. That's why I said earlier on about Rashford not starting and the change of shape. We've seen the change of shape. The change of shape's been there the last 2 games. Flex has brought it up a few times, and you'll see this on the preview tomorrow. But the change of shape, I believe anyway, was enforced obviously by the injuries and what have you. But I think it was also with a view to the final of, right, let's see if we can do something a little bit different. We're going to have to be more compact. We're going to have to be a bit more defensive. We're going to have to play on the counter-attack. Let's change the shape and let's prepare it for the final that's coming up on Saturday. So, with going back to the question about you're going to have to approach it differently, I think we will. I think we've already seen that. that we're going to approach it differently. I think he's going to stick with that 4-4-2, 4-2-2 with the false nines and what have you. I think he's going to start Ahmad, and I think he's going to play a bit more on the break, which is the way to do it. I mean, this is the thing too. We have to sort of realise ourselves. You watched Manchester City play against Real Madrid at the Etihad in the Champions League this season. Granted, it's not at the Etihad. On Saturday, it's at Wembley, neutral territory, and it's a cup final. Anything can happen. But you saw Real Madrid, one of, if not the best team in Europe, with some unbelievable players. Vinny Jr., Jude Bellingham, you name it. Carry on listing them. You know, Cruz, whatever. Go to the Etihad and get absolutely, again, park the bus, play on the counter-attack, hit them on the break, hope and pray, get a little bit of luck, and win it on penalties. That's what you have to do against Manchester City. They will dominate the ball. They will dominate the game. You have to sit back. You check your ego at the door. You can't be too proud to be like, let's take the game to them, and then lose 5-0. No. The blueprint is there against Manchester City. Sit back, on the break, get a bit of luck, and hope City aren't that good. That's what you have to do. That is how you play against Manchester City. Look at someone like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. With the one positive from his tenure at Manchester United is he knew how to play against Manchester City. He knew how to play against Pep Guardiola. Play on the break. That's it. And also, don't make any mistakes. Onana, no F-ups on Saturday. Casemiro, no F-ups on Saturday. Bruno, no crazy passes, no percentage stuff. Be smart, be clinical. And that's why when it comes to the change of shape, that's what we need to do. We need to be defensive, need to park the bus, and we also then need to play on the break. And when we do, make those chances count. And again, get a bit of luck. That's exactly what we need to do. So, yeah, I think he will go with a bit of... well, I don't know if he'll change the shape from the last two games, but I think in comparison to when we played him earlier on this season, yes, because that's how you play against Man City. That's how you beat Man City. That's how it's done. That's how you play against them. And just hope that they don't play to their top potential, because if their best players are on point that day, no, we cannot do that. Cannot do that. Again, the blueprint is set. Chalaboy Comics says, actually, Owen, I slightly disagree. We need to press them and generate chances, but with an extra emphasis on keeping bodies in midfield. Well, that's why I said I think he'll go with that 4-4-2, 4-2-2, whatever you want to call it. And that's why I think that McTominay is going to start, because I think that extra body is going to be him. I really do. I think that that's why I don't think he can go with the 4-2-3-1, whatever he's done all season, because the gaps are so big, and they've just got two good players to do that. Two good players to do that. You've got to do something different, I think. And you've got to be, again, it goes back to ego and pride. Whatever your long-term vision is for Manchester United, the long-term, I want Man United to dominate the games, dominate possession, do this, do that. Ain't the time for that on Saturday. It's a one-off game. You know the opposition. You know the manager. You know the circumstances. You need to have no mistakes. You need to be smart. You need to be compact. You can't have those gaps. And when you do get an opportunity, you need to take it. As simple as. I mean, I say simple as, it's still Manchester City. But there you go, guys. That's the press conference for you. How many likes do we end up at? We're close to 400. So if you haven't already, click that like button to see if we can get to 400, which is fantastic. Be sure to subscribe as well. Bottom right-hand corner. A reminder, we'll have What the Devil coming up later on, probably in... because it would usually be on now, but the press conference was a bit later today. So What the Devil will probably be coming up at around maybe an hour or so's time, maybe a couple of hours' time, something like that. So be sure to join the guys from United District. Tomorrow morning, we're going to have the preview, a special Trinity preview. Yes, Flex, KG, and myself are all going to be together for that one. And then we'll also have the Trinity again. A brand new episode of the Trinity coming up tomorrow, 6 p.m. too. So there's plenty to get involved in at United View. Yes. And also, finally, as I wrap up this press conference stream, thank you Thank you to everyone that's watching. Thank you to everyone that's got involved with these press conference streams this season. We've done, obviously, so many of them. Obviously, I'm always on the press conference streams. I know sometimes people don't really care sometimes about the presser, and they'll wait till the match, and sometimes it can be a bit dull because you're not sometimes even really talking about some football stuff. You're talking about quotes and analysing stuff. It's a bit of a thematic analysis, but it's got a bit of a niche audience. Some people really like them. I said KG's a big fan, so I appreciate everyone that's tuned into all of the press conferences this season. Since I joined United View, which is now nearly 3 years ago, I've done most press conferences, whether it's been Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, whether it's been Michael Carrick, whether it's been Ralf Rangnick, or whether it's been Erik ten Hag. So another season down, another season full of presses, and on to the next season in the future as well. So big up to everyone for always tuning in. It's much appreciated. I'm the luckiest man in the world to have you all with me. Anyway, guys, I will see you all tomorrow for the preview and for the Trinity. I'm out of here. Peace.